Peterson decided not to keep it confidential. He tweeted that he was telling Payton to run the ball, but he respects his coach. Shannon, are you surprised how little the Saints used him?
No, I'm not. This is what happens, Skip, when you have a running back by committee. And what you can see is that the New England Patriots, there were games that LeGarrette Blount would have 30 carries. And then the next week, he would have 2 or 5. Or he would have 15 one week, and then the next week, James White has 10 catches. This is what it is, running back by committee. And what you need to get out of your head, and what a lot of Adrian Peterson fans need to get out of their head, he's Adrian Peterson in New Orleans. He was AP in Minnesota. You're not going to see that guy again. Because here's the thing, Skip, and I know what you're thinking. You're like, to get the maximum benefit of Adrian Peterson, you need to give him the ball. He needs to carry the ball.
How do you know what I'm thinking?
Because I know you. Okay. But here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think Sean Payton trusts the most? Drew Brees or Adrian Peterson? Because if you give Adrian...
Or Mark Ingram or Adrian Peterson.
Well, Skip, here's the thing. What Adrian should have done, he should have taken the $6 to $8 million to stay in Minnesota, be the bell cow. But what he wanted, he thought he was more valuable somewhere else. He overplayed his hand, and then a couple of days before the draft, he signed a 2-year, $7 million with the Saints. He could have had that very same deal in Seattle, but he thought it would get better as you got closer to the draft, and then you have 7 rounds, and then you have free agency. You see, Skip, I'm a firm believer in this. I've always felt this. The devil you know is better than the one you don't. And him wanting to make $10 to $12 million, why not take the 6 to 8? You're going to be the bell cow in Minnesota. They love you. They adore you in Minnesota. Why would you let your ego, after all what they've done for you, and rightfully so, because you've been an exemplary player. You've been great at running the football. MVP, All-Pro, Pro Bowl. But Skip, he's not that guy anymore, Skip. And I don't know, and I told you this, he's not going to get the carries, because if he gets the ball 30, 35 times, what does that mean? You're taking the ball out of Drew Brees' hand. Well, this offense was built around Drew Brees and what he does really well. And what does Drew Brees does really well, Skip? What does he do really well? I'm talking about really, really well. He throw it. Does Adrian Peterson catch it really well? So now, think about it. And all the backs really, Kamara played the most, but they all had about the same amount of carries for about the same amount of yards. Now, it might vary from week to week. One week, Adrian Peterson might get 20, 25 carries. But he should not expect to be the bell cow, because that's not what he is any longer. And when you play running back by committee, this is what you get. One week it might be him. The next week it might be Mark Ingram. The following week it might be Alvin Kamara. But Skip, this is what happens to an aging player going on a different team that already had a Pro Bowl running back and drafted a running back in the 3rd round. This is what you get. And I know he's sad. He's an OU Sooner, and to see him on that sideline, it made my stomach turn just seeing him 28 with Peterson on the back of that jersey. Like, you belong in purple. How could you?
The other OU Sooner lit him up. I'm talking about Sam Bradford, that scarecrow of a dart thrower,
but you
who
know,
suddenly turned into Drew Brees last night. I don't know what happened.
But you know what? He's going to tease you. And Minnesota's going to empty the bank for him.
You're probably right. Mr. Sharpe.
Yep.
On cross-examination, I ask you, what happened the very first play of the football game last night? Just help me out. Maybe you should check with your researcher. I don't know. Just help me out.
You know what happened?
I don't know. Help me out.
He got a few yards, Skip.
He got a few yards. He got 9 yards right up the gut. In the last 5, I think he carried the entire Vikings defense on his back for the last 5 yards.
Yes.
A 9-yard opening gain, and I thought, here they go. And then he crashes into the middle for the 1 yard they needed to get the first down, and then there he went. He went back to the sideline. And I'm like, what? You just took out Adrian Peterson for what?
Yeah.
If you're going to sign Adrian Peterson, and if you're going to give him a chance to be Adrian Peterson again, which, silly me, I thought was going to happen, to your credit, you said no, then you at least have to give Adrian Peterson the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 series of the football game to let him break a sweat and get some rhythm, get a little momentum, because that's all he knows. That's all he's ever done. Starting back in Palestine, Texas, when he ran wild on the state of Texas in high school football. And then he went to my OU Sooners and they would give him 25, 30 carries a game because that's how it goes. And I told you he would drive me crazy when he was at OU because he'd have a none-yard gain and a none-yard gain, and then all of a sudden he'd have an 18-yard gain. It's just the way you have to do business with that type of back. Is he 38 years old? He's 32. He's about a year and a month older than Marshawn Lynch. And we saw what happened Sunday when Oakland opened at Tennessee. They let Marshawn attempt to become Marshawn again after a year away from football, right? And what did he do? 18 carries for 76 yards, which is what I thought would happen to Adrian last night. And I thought he was off to the races with an opening 9-yard burst.
But don't you think, although they're both power backs, Marshawn has more make you miss than Adrian Peterson?
He does, or at least he did Sunday. But I don't know. A couple of times I saw little flashes where I thought, I can still see that guy. So ultimately, I was so disappointed and ultimately so disgusted with Sean Payton because I have no idea what his plan was last night because I don't think he had a very good plan last night. And I did say that I thought he would, because he signed him, that he was going to give him a chance to have Adrian Peterson kind of impact, like team lifting, season making impact, especially when game number 1 takes Adrian back home to his old stomping grounds in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he gets to go head to head with his new, young, hot replacement, Dalvin Cook. And I was geared up after that first carry. And then here came the committee. So I'm going to slightly modify the oldest cliche in football, which is if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. You know that cliche,
Yes.
don't you? If you have 3 running backs, you have none. That's the deal.
Patriots got 4.
Especially not like this. Not when, but one of them isn't Adrian Peterson, and the other one didn't make the Pro Bowl last year. It's bad enough to have Adrian Peterson and Mark Ingram. And I thought maybe he would shelve Mark Ingram for a few games just to see what Adrian could do at his advanced age, but still only 32. And when they took Alvin Kamara in the third round, and it's clear to me after last night that Sean, he's starting to fall in love with Alvin because Alvin can catch it, and Alvin's got 4.5 speed, and what is he, 215 or so. And again, he was signed by Alabama, started with the Crimson Tide, wound up at Tennessee, didn't have that many carries, but he was like a diamond in the rough. And so if that's what you're going to do, make him your Dalvin Cook, or make Mark Ingram your Mark Ingram like you did last year. But we had Drew Brees on at the Super Bowl, and Drew told us we need to get back to 2009 when obviously they broke through and won the Super Bowl with 50-50 run pass. And last night it wound up 37 passes to 21 runs because they fell behind after a really good start in that football game. You realize it was 6-3 all the way to the 4-minute mark of the second quarter when the ceiling fell in part because Zach Strief, who's their best offensive lineman, got hurt and went out, and all of a sudden, here they came after Drew Brees. And we know the Vikings can play defense, espally in that building, which is like an echo chamber.
Yes.
You know, it might be the loudest building the Metrodome used to be, but it seems like they've carried it right over, right?
Recreate that, absolutely.
Yep. So I was so disappointed in Sean Payton.